Hey everybody, welcome to the Inimitable Podcast. I am your host, Jermaine Harrison. I am a licensed mental health counselor, mentor, visionary, transitional life coach, but more importantly, I am a neurospicy black sheep. Inimitable means something that is so unique it is impossible to duplicate. This pod is for the neurospicy who are building mental wealth without a blueprint. Every guest here, we're going to talk about some of those topics that other people don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it, whether it be about motherhood, black men, whether it be about joining the force and being a mental health advocate. Either way, we're going to talk about it. So with that being said, thank you for coming. And if you're here, it's because God needed you here. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will see you soon. Bye. Inimitable Podcast. Hey y'all, how you doing? Listen, I have a little bit of a cold right now, but we're gonna get through this because it's my baby right here, y'all. Anyway, I'm gonna be professional as I can get, but nonetheless, whether you guys are watching this live or you're gonna watch this on the rebroadcast, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 14. And I'm just going to get the announcements out the way so that people can like come in and then I'll say them again at the end. This is episode 14. And then I have one more next week. And then I might take a little pause because I have some panelists coming for, Black excellence. We're going to be talking about what their journey was like, how they exude Black excellence. And it's going to be great. But anyway, back to today's episode. Today's episode, I am bringing on my nephew. I'm so excited that he has agreed to come on. He's been willing to talk for a while now. And I was like, I got you, nephew. You're going to come on. So there's so much I can say about him. He's the first one to call me auntie. He's my brother's namesake. Look at a little face. I love that little face. Anyways, professional. Y'all, welcome my nephew, Darnell Jr. Greet the folks, nephew.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi. I'm doing good. What's a neurospicy black sheep?
Ooh, good question. So, neurospicy is like it's a different way of saying I'm a neurodivergent, which means I think differently, I operate differently. Things are just different, right? So usually these are for people who are like have anxiety, they're on the spectrum, their brains just operate differently, they think differently, they move differently, right? The black sheep of the families are usually the ones that are like not like everybody else. They kind of feel like they're left out, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I understood the black sheep part, but not the neurospicy part.
Well, there you go. Neurospicy. It just means you think and operate differently, nephew. That's what that means. But we're here. So hello. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So, nephew, since you wanted to come on, what were the things that you wanted to talk about? Where do you want to start this conversation?
You can't put me on the spot like that.
Yes, I can, sir.
No, I expected you to have like questions written down and ask me questions written down.
All right, that is a question. What would you like to talk about, Nosa? So as much as you want to share, nephew, let the people know how DJ got here, how Darnell, obviously not how you got here, but like, give us your childhood up to where you're at right now. How old are you, son? Nephew?
21.
Oh, my baby's 21, y'all. Jesus. Okay, go ahead. 21.
Okay, so growing up, I was adopted by my aunt Corinne from my mom, and throughout my life, I was very like active in sports and stuff like that, and especially being a gymnast. The gymnast probably carried like half of my life, and then probably around like 2017, that's when I started like to pursue music and graphic design and visual effects and stuff like that. I graduated high school to like focus on those things more, but I didn't want
Mhm.
to quit sports until I graduated high school. So then after I got out, that's when I started focusing more on music and stuff.
Hmm. So my nephew is just multi-talented, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
You were, you started, and listen, this gymnast thing, that was going for you, sir. I like that for you. You were very athletic and doing the tumbles and all the things. But what made you want to choose music?
Uh, the self expression part of it, especially
Mm.
because I didn't like to talk to nobody.
Yes, nephew. And that's something we got to talk about because, listen, no one is supposed to do this life alone. You know what I mean? Like, we are here, your auntie's here, you got a whole lot of family to choose from. Why did you choose silence, nephew?
Uh, in one of my songs, I had stated, I don't need a therapist. I speak to myself through my headphones. And to a lot of people, it doesn't make sense. But I don't write down lyrics. So I if there's a beat that I like, I'll just put the beat on and I'll start recording to it. And
Mm,
I found that there's a lot of things that I didn't know were wrong with me until I heard the beat, if that makes sense. So like people will ask me what's wrong and I'll say I don't know or I'll say nothing. And then I'll put a beat on and I'll start singing or rapping about the things that I don't agree with or that I've been going through recently. And that's when I realized like, okay, so this is what's wrong.
mm.
And that's why I chose music for the self expression because it was almost like the things that people couldn't get out of me, music could.
I like that, nephew. And, I'm not going to take it personal because I'm a therapist, whatever. But I think what you were talking about is something that a lot of people in our community don't want to do. A lot of people don't want to talk to therapists. A lot of people are like, I don't tell nobody my problems. It ain't nobody's business what I'm doing. Blah, 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 blah. Now, I will give you kudos though, that you have found a way to express self, to understand self a little bit more, and to get it out, which is great. We love that for you, nephew. I just think there's a certain there's a difference between like getting it out of your system and then processing it with somebody who's been through some things and who can help you. You know what I'm saying? So, since you chose the topic of this generational breaking and generational ending the gaps and all this other stuff, is that why you didn't talk to people? Because you didn't feel like generations before you was going to listen?
No, I don't know how to explain it really. It was kind of like I didn't talk to people because like I didn't think they would not that they wouldn't understand, but like a lot of people really like just because you're telling me you get it doesn't mean you understand how it made me feel. So there was a lot of times where when I did open up and express my feelings about something, they
Mm-hmm.
assumed I felt one way or they would assume that like it wasn't as bad as I made it seem. So I kind of like just started falling back really.
Hmm. My nephew's intelligent, y'all. Sorry. I'm just like, hearing you talk. Yes. I think what you're saying is good because I get it as a clinician, as a person, as a human. I'm like, people can say they understand me, but they don't because I am not easily understood. Hence the neurospicy black sheep, right? Um, is it hard to trust people though for you, DJ, given being adopted and given the stuff that you've gone through? Is it hard to trust people?
No, because hear me out. Normally, I feel like for somebody who went through the stuff that I did, it would be hard to trust people. But I openly still trust people. I don't let my past affect. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. You don't
I
let
I
your
don't
past. Mhm.
Egypt. I don't let my past affect what's going on now because I
Mhm.
don't feel like so like it's big on for me. I'm very big on connections and stuff like that. So the inability to trust people could ruin connections, and why would I ruin something for my future based off of something in my past? So the way I kind of go about things is I'll give somebody my full trust, but if I obviously like strikes and stuff like that, I just say like, honestly, if you mess up, you mess up. The thing is, I don't have a problem trusting people, but I do have a problem like keeping people around if they do something I dislike.
Hmm.
Once I feel like my trust was broken.
That's good. Boundaries, son. We love a good boundary. I just think the thing about trusting people, DJ, is there's levels to trust, right? Like you can trust somebody and be like, nah, yeah, they cool, like it's whatever, I can be around them. But when you fully trust somebody and you are willing to like pull back the layers of who DJ is
Hmm.
and be vulnerable and transparent about the things that you're going through, like that's the part that I was asking about.
Oh, then no. That's why you don't see that any of my music is released. That's why none of my music is released because um
Why?
once because think about it, right? I make music to express the stuff I'm going through, but even though I know other people can relate and other people like my music, it's what I'm going through. So if I don't feel like I could trust people to hear it, like even when I sent you my music, I was nervous to show you my music,
Hmm.
and you're my aunt. So imagine somebody who's not my family.
Well, isn't that the purpose of music though? It's the connection, right? A lot of people connect through music because language is not just English, right? It's beats and it's feelings and it's emotions. And isn't that the whole point of putting the music out there so that you can maybe someone does relate to you, DJ. Maybe somebody, I'm sorry, Darnell. I'm gonna get it together. Darnell.
Hmm.
um like isn't it the whole point of making the music so that you can make it, push it out there so that you can impact the world or change a life or connect with somebody?
Um, yes and no. That's not really why I started making music. I started making music just to like simply just understand myself,
Hmm.
and that's why like there's a difference in music. There, I can send you a song, and it's strictly just music, and then there's another song where it's like I would never release this because I don't want people to know X, Y, and Z about me. It's not about the fact that like I care if they know or not. It's just like I'm not comfortable with really like bringing it up. So
Which is something.
some things
Yeah.
are just songs for me, and then some things are songs that I would release and let everybody hear. But everybody around me tells me that they like my music. I need to drop my music and stuff like that, and I believe them. It's just a personal thing.
Mm. All
It's
things.
like that because you asking me why I don't release my music is like me asking you why you don't go like repeat what somebody like is one of your patients is saying because it's a personal thing.
Confidentiality, nephew. But
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. I mean, I get it. I think what you're saying is this is a personal. It's like a journal or a diary. Music
yeah.
and your music is your personal diary, and you're kind of skeptical as to who gets to listen to it. I get it, nephew. I get it. Now, all those things are lovely, sir. Um, so again, back to the generational part. So obviously, you are my brother's namesake. You are your father's namesake. You have his name. Now, seeing as in your father's not here, did that play a role in this? I got to keep things close to my chest and just kind of like work through it
Uh,
myself.
no, I think I was more open because I didn't have a dad. I know
Oh,
that sounds crazy, but I feel like dads are the main reason that like things are held in. And I don't know if I like. Yeah, I'm very sad that he passed away, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd be the same person. So like, it's kind of a high risk, high reward situation. I'm kind of happy with who I like became, and I don't think
oh,
it would be the same if my dad was around.
nephew, sir, you a smart little cookie. Um, I agree. But that part that you said about how fathers impact, what was it? Impact how we do something. I don't remember
Like
what
how
it
we
is.
hold things in.
Yes, thank you, sir. How we hold things in. That's so good, nephew. I don't think you know how good that was. Because, you grew up with a lot of females around, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the only male you had around was like your grandfather, if that.
Yeah.
And yet you have been an amazing young male. So who, if anybody, did you look up to that's like a positive role model male wise? And then you can answer if anybody, no matter what the gender
Are we
is,
talking about like family or like anybody in the world?
anybody in the world, sir.
Well, everybody knows that. Like, even though he wasn't a positive role model, I used to look up to Lil Wayne a lot. He definitely wasn't a positive role model, but like it wasn't the music was very explicit, especially for my age, but it was never really about that. It was just the fact that like he started winning when he was like 14, and I
Mm,
just believed like if he did it, I could do it. And so I looked up to him for like being able to find success in so young. And then there's obviously people in my life like I had Papa, which was Corinne's dad. I had Grandpa Chris, which was my uncle's dad. And so like these are men that get up and work every day, long hours. And so I think I was like 10 or 11 when I first started working at the shop, because like even though like I was given what I wanted as a kid, some things I had to work for, like the stuff that was like not pointless to me but pointless to them, or pointless as an adult. Like why would you want that as a kid? So like stuff like games for my Xbox, or just random things that I would want, it would be like, okay, if you want it, then get up at this time and you got to work Saturday and Sunday.
mhm.
And so that's why they were role models for me, because they showed me like at a young age you got to work for what you want.
I like that. Round of applause for you, nephew. Sorry, Darnell. Um, so I like that. I like that they taught you that nothing really should come easy, even though things were at some point. Because I remember going over there and you had a whole MacBook or an
Nah,
Apple
that wasn't mine, it
computer.
was Corinne's. she
Sir, it
it's
was in your
crazy
room.
it's crazy. She won that MacBook because back then they used to do this thing for Diet Coke bottles, where if you take the cap and enter in the code, you could get rewards points and stuff like that. So she won a MacBook, a basketball hoop, and like a Gatorade drink dispenser.
That's pretty dope. I mean, I'm glad you know what hard work looks like because some things came easy and some things did not. But again, back to the generational part of this. So, Little Wayne and your uncle and your papa are generations before. So, I'm closer to your generation. Is there anyone in my generation that you was like, all right, I can rocks with them. They're cool. They can teach me something.
Men.
Anybody?
um well, if it was to be just men, Michaela had this friend named Cleo. And Cleo, he played football and did sports and stuff like that at Brockton High, and he was almost like my older brother at times, because he would play sports with me, he would take me places and stuff like that, because the age difference was very big, because he's probably like 33, 34 right now, and I'm just turning 21, so that's like around a 13-year age difference. But like he didn't treat me like there was an age difference. He always had me right by his side. And I looked up to him because he was one of the like best running backs in Brockton High, and he had good grades, and he wasn't getting in trouble and stuff like that.
Hmm. Okay. On Instagram, your sister Janaya says, "Oh, my hearts," and then put up some hearts over there. So
Are you live on Instagram too?
I am. So I'm sure your siblings will see this, and even if they don't, well, then whatever. Speaking of siblings, you have uh, four,
Five. Yeah,
five
four.
biologicals, and then you
Yeah.
have your adoptive family. What's it like being the eldest of my brother's children? Do you take care? Do you like check in on your siblings?
It's weird. I know I'm a older brother, but I feel like at times I could be a better older brother. But like I do have conversations with my siblings and stuff like that, and I be talking to them about certain situations that be going on. But
Mm.
also I know I'm also not at a point to be a better older brother when it comes down to like picking people up and going out and all this other stuff. Like as of right now, the best I can do is just keep in communication and make sure like mentally they're doing good, and then later I could worry about getting together and going to do like events and stuff like that.
I mean, Darnell, I think what we have realized in your life, as long as somebody's there and you're trying to do your best to be the best big brother that you can be, that's what matters. The going out and the doing things, I mean, that's what you have your grandmother for and your
Yeah.
auntie. Even though I ain't really got money right now. Anyway, so like, just showing up for your siblings and letting them know, like, y'all, we gotta do this together because our father's not
Yeah.
here, and yes, we have different mothers, but we are all connected by blood, by Harrison blood. So, being that voice of reason, even, and letting them know, like, listen, there's a lot of mistakes I made, and please don't, because Nizelle is 14. Soon, yeah, 14. And you're 21. That's only like 7 years.
Yeah, but even it's weird though. Even though it is 7 years, it's like he's not that far from like being beside me when it comes to like the differences in the generations. Like his generation is very fast, so like what
Yeah.
he's doing at 14, I'd probably like now. I wouldn't say what he's doing because I'm actually like proud that he's being a regular 14-year-old. But like other 14-year-olds, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but the stuff that they did at 14, I didn't do until I was like 18, 19, or still haven't done to this day.
Mm. Why don't you want to get deep into it, nephew? I mean, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about generational stuff. What are 14-year-olds doing these days that they shouldn't be
Uh,
doing?
there's a lot. I know. I personally know, like, cause somebody's mom that I know, they posted
Mhm.
it. A 14-year-old that I knew, she's pregnant. Like, there's been 14-year-olds that are pregnant. There's 14-year-olds that are in jail. There's 14-year-olds that are killing people. There's 14-year-old people that like don't go to school no more, smoke, drink, go to parties, pretend that they're 18. They're not 18. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Mhm.
Like when I was 14, the highest I would pretend to be was probably 15. And if I did, it was probably honestly it was probably for a girl.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the if I'm 14 and she was 16, I would be like, yeah, I'm 15, almost.
Sure. Well, yes. Yes, Darnell. Yes. Anyway, um,
You can't hold that
so
against me.
why would I hold it against you? I was a teenager once, sir. I get it.
You lied about your age before.
I never had to because when people approach me, I looked older, but I also
Oh
shut
yeah,
them
no, I
down.
never looked older. You know that.
I like I said, blame your mama because your father gave you the height, sir. Your mama was just tiny. So
There's no
anyway,
height to this.
it's okay. You still loved and you're still amazing and you are just as much of a man as the tall rest of us.
Those nice words don't make me grow.
I wish I could. I give you some of my height, nephew, because I don't want it. But again, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Anywho, so knowing you and growing up, my mom, your grandma was around a whole lot and tried to, keep you connected to the Harrison side. And I know you don't always want to share about, your childhood and stuff, but you are a foster kid, was a foster kid, and a lot of foster kids go through a whole lot of things. Can you share, even if it's a little bit, what it was like? I mean, I know you were fostered into your mother's side of the family,
Yeah.
but it's still different. You're still a foster kid, which means your mother nor your father had custody of you. So,
I mean, what I would say is I had it easier than most foster kids, and then the person that took me in was like who I personally think my bad
No, it's
was
not.
who I think was like I personally think was the best person that could have taken me in, especially in that moment, and then leading up to later years. But I don't know. It was weird because even though Corinne raised me for so long, like the conversations and like the comfortable, like I was comfortable around her. I would do whatever, but when it came to opening up and talking about certain things that I was going through, I wouldn't do it. But with
Mm,
with my mom, when I got around my mom, it was almost like she didn't even have to ask what was wrong before I started saying like what was wrong.
mm,
And so like it's weird, even though I was in the house with people who loved me and like I knew I could talk to them. Mentally, I felt like quote unquote I was alone just due to the fact that even though I was comfortable enough to be around them, I wasn't comfortable enough to open up.
mm.
So that was a hard part, and that's where like music started coming in.
Yeah. So the common theme is that DJ, sorry, Darnell, struggles sometimes with opening up. And I think a part of this conversation that I definitely want to bring up is that it's really hard to trust people. But since trust wasn't an issue with you, I think it's knowing who you can go to um, for guidance. Because you know
Hmm.
what? I don't think your generation cares about guidance sometimes. I think you guys like we're just gonna figure it out by ourselves. And if we fail, we fail. If we fall, we fall. Like it is what it is. But it's like, no. That's why we millennials struggled for you guys. Like we did the falling and the tripping for you guys. And we want to help you. But like for whatever reason, y'all just be like, nah, I'm good. Why is that,
I feel
nephew?
like the falling and the tripping is a little bit different though. Like
How, Sway? Please
I
tell
don't
me. I would
know,
like to know.
like I don't know how to like explain it fully in detail so that everybody can understand it. But like the things that you like made mistakes on, some of it can relate to my stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's now like even you can like confirm it. Like the world I grew, not the world, but like the generation I grew up in and the generation you grew up in are two completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the same thing for me and like my little brother. We're in two whole complete different generations. So like the stuff that you went through, it some of it could apply to my life and help me. But then there's some things where like you guys will say something and it's genuinely gibberish and it don't make sense. And like sometimes like it gets to the point where like we understood the first part and then the other half is like you're just talking and talk. Like you need somebody to talk to or because I don't understand it.
Mm, okay. I hear you, I guess. And y'all in the comment section, whether you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, throw some comments up if you want to hear some things from my nephew. Sorry, from Darnell. Now I hear you because I feel like we felt the same thing about the generation that came before us. But listen here, let me tell you about growing up. I'm a whole adult. And the stuff that your grandmother used to say to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it now. You know? So it's
Yeah.
not all gibberish. I think some of it is really just trying to help y'all do better and not make the same mistakes. Because honestly, Darnell, life is hard. And when you have people that want to help you, let them help you. The generations before me felt like we were so hard headed they didn't really want to talk. But we millennials like to talk. We like to talk. So I
I
feel like
know.
thank you, nephew. So like if you have the ability to get guidance, why do you think your generation is going to help you if all y'all are in the same boat, doing the same thing, struggling the same way?
I don't like none of them. Nope.
What? You don't
Nope.
like
I don't like none of
anybody.
them.
You so what I'm hearing is you don't really listen to the generations before you. You don't like the generation that you're in.
No, I listened to the generations before me. I don't like the people that I was born with.
Oh,
Yeah. Like how you
because
was talking about the hard headed and don't listen and stuff like that. Yeah, I had to cut off so many of my friends because they're just ignorant. I didn't know you was talking about millennials. I get along with y'all better than I get along with the people I be around.
Because we're great, nephew. Millennials is where it's at. Hello, cousin. Consuela said,
That's
I
the
agree.
complete opposite of what I was saying. It's not because y'all are great. It's just because I was around old people all the time.
I was bragging on my generation, is what I was doing. I know what you said.
Yeah.
I know what you said, but I was anyway. Consuela says we're learning things differently, and that's okay. It's about being and willing to teach so we can learn. More than not, a lot of us are open to getting a better understanding. Listen, that's all it's about, man. It's about learning. Now, how you choose to implement these learning how you choose to implement these lessons, that's on you, nephew. I mean, or anybody that's watching, that's fine. But just don't turn a deaf ear to it. Because let me tell you, I didn't want to listen to anybody in the generation before mine. And because of it, I made some real stupid mistakes that are real avoidable. That's the thing. If they're avoidable, Darnell, just listen to them. Like, do you have to struggle? No. Do you have to do it the hard way? No. But it just seems like young people just really enjoy doing it the hard way, you know?
Nah, I don't. Not me, at least. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I've witnessed it in my own eyes. Like, I know friends who like wake up and choose every day to have a hard life.
Yeah. Yeah. So what worked for you then? What, because you said you're not like those in your generation. So how did you do life better? Why was your life better, DJ Darnell?
Because I was actually able to like listen to the wisdom and advice people was giving me and apply it to my life to make it as better as best as I could. So even if I was going through a hard time, the hard time was easier, and then the easy times was better.
Mm, mm-hmm. I like that. I mean, I'm proud of you, son, because I do know that you were surrounded by a lot of people who are trying to give you a lot of wisdom and, making it through. So when did life get hard for you, Darnell? Did it happen when you turned 18? Oh, that's awkward. He didn't put his phone on Do Not Disturb because he's probably getting a phone call because he's on his phone. Anyway, y'all, feel free to be in the comment section while we wait for TJ to come back on. Are y'all enjoying this? Are you guys learning something? I guess I'm just going to talk to y'all until he comes back. Do Not Disturb,
All right.
DJ, Darnell, whatever your
Hello.
name is. I can
It
hear
was
you.
on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, it was on Do Not
Well,
Disturb.
someone
My
got
bad.
through it, sir. Someone was like, I'm still going to disturb. Anyway, so the question was, when did life get hard for you? Did it happen in your adult years? Did it happen before then?
7 when my dad passed away.
Yeah. And that was hard, even though he wasn't around because.
Are you asking me because?
Mhm.
Oh, the reason why life became hard when I was 7 was because that's when I really realized like the way I was thinking at 7 years old wasn't how a 7 year old should be thinking. When I found out my dad passed away, my immediate instead of like I cried about it. Of course I cried about it. And then I was angry. And no matter how like old you are, your first thought shouldn't be like I want to know who did it so I can do something to them. And especially at 7, you shouldn't be thinking like that. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like I'm just going to school mad, coming home mad, thinking like if I get old enough to see him, then I will see him and just leave it at that. And I was angry for a lot of my life just due to the simple fact that like for some reason part of me felt like it was my fault just due to the fact where I was like this could have been avoided if I asked him to come over again or just simple things because like he used to come over a lot and he would just come over, we would play like games or something or like we would just be sitting on the couch talking and catching up and I was just like well maybe if I asked him to come over it would have never happened. and I used to hold that against myself. So like, not only was I angry, I was also upset with myself, and that didn't like. But since nobody knew that, nobody could help me with that. So nobody was sitting there telling me it's not my fault. Nobody was sitting there telling me like you can't do nothing about it. Like this is kind of just how it has to be. The only thing you could do is like heal from it. So I personally didn't heal about through it until I was like 14, but it only took me so long because I did it on my own. If that makes sense, like I didn't speak about it. I didn't want people to know how I felt. I didn't want anything to do with anybody for a long time.
Mm. Nephew, I feel that. Um, there's a lot of people throwing up hearts and caring emojis and stuff. Your sister sent one on Instagram. Um, that is tough. And you know, listen, 2010, a lot of us, our world was rocked. Okay, mine, your grandmother's, Consuela's, a lot of the family, and I think all of us kind of was like, I wish, like I wish I wrote your father more in jail. I wish, he was able to turn his life around and be where he was supposed to be and not, all those things. We all go through it. A part of the grieving process is literally bargaining. And bargaining is like, I want things to be differently and I wish they were differently. It's a hard thought, nephew. But you also highlighted something that seemed to be a common theme is you didn't reach out and you didn't let people know. And this is why therapy or just mentorship or having a caring person around matters, because people are carrying pains and secrets and scars that nobody knows about. And we are losing people. People are dying left and right with pains that, again, could be healed and could be mended if we learn how to open up. And you don't have to open up to everybody. This is not just for you, nephew. This is for everybody listening. Um, Reaching out is necessary because you don't have to suffer alone. We all, at some point in our lives, choose to suffer in silence. And as you see, it took him 7 years. And, he's still going through some things. There are people who are suffering for way longer than 7 years. And, nephew, I just want you to know, we're here. And I just hope that you find the courage or the something to finally let somebody in that can really guide you in the positive direction. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I love you, nephew, for real, for real. And you are an amazing young man. And I just want you to know, and everybody know, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah,
Because it's hard. And we get that. Right? But like India said, learn to open up, nephew.
it's not about opening up. The thing is, for me personally, I can open up to people. It's just about like who's worth it, I guess.
I mean, you
For
you
me, for me, you got
you
to be worth it.
mm-hmm. You opened up to me that night when you and your sister, you know, that conversation that day,
Yeah.
and that's the first time, nephew, I heard you share like beneath surface stuff. Like you always, we would talk and you'd be like, "No, auntie, I'm good," and blah 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 blah. But like that deep stuff, Darnell, that's not something anybody should be carrying around, yet alone a 21-year-old. Well, you were 20, you were 19 at the time, but now, right?
Yeah.
So, question: what can we do as the generations before you? How can we help bridge this generational gap? Because it has to happen. We got to figure out how to do it.
I'd say honestly, your generation has to be like more understanding and like comforting. Like
Comforting.
because like it's one thing to like be understood, but it's like, okay, you understand me, now what? Like,
Mm,
what now, what? Because like I could go talk to somebody right now that I
yeah.
feel comfortable speaking to, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I get what you're going through, and da 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 da, and they'll just leave it at that. Like, I don't want you to say, oh yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Well, I don't care like whether you're sorry or not, but it's just like, if I if I open up to you and stuff like that, like, I need like, what's the word for it? Like, your response. I need something to be a response. Like, I can't just do like a, oh yeah, I'm sorry you've been through that, or oh, give me a hug. And no, I could get a hug from everybody. I can get an I'm sorry from everybody, but it's like, I need information on how to go about things. So like,
Mm.
that's why I'm very picky on like who I open up to, because like, I remember one person, I told them a couple things, and they was like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what to say, and then I never spoke to them again. Because you're sitting here asking me, oh, this and that, and then I finally tell you, and it's, oh, I don't know what to say. Then why did you ask?
You know, that's a very good point. And thank you for sharing because I agree. I think we all need somebody, right? We all need to feel like I release this thing and then it's like, cool. Now, what do I do? And
Mm-hmm.
again, I cannot emphasize this enough. This is why therapy works, y'all, because we don't just sit there and let's debunk that. I'm not gonna take over this whole conversation, but we just gonna spend the next like 2.5 minutes talking about it. Um, talking about therapy. Therapy is not for those who are just like, I'm so broken and I can't function. They're not for the crazies. They're not for the ones who just struggle with everything. Life happens to everybody, regardless of the financial status, regardless of race, gender, whatever. Okay. And we have a lot of people suffering unnecessarily because the weight of their problems and the weight of the traumas, they sit on them. And like you said, you got to release it to somebody. And when you release it to somebody, therapists are conditioned and trained to be like, cool, give that to me. We'll put that over here. Let's teach you how to function. Let's teach you how to do life better. That's literally what we do, right? So if you can't find a therapist, y'all call me. If you're in Massachusetts or New Hampshire, y'all call me. We can work some things out because, like my, excuse me, like my nephew is saying, it's one thing to just say like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like, "Don't pity me." That's what he's saying. Don't pity me. Like, understand that I am struggling, and we all need someone to carry this thing, this heavy load with. And y'all, if you don't go to a therapist, talk to Jesus because we love him, and Jesus will send the right people to you. You know. Anyway, Consuela said, "Telling us what you need helps." Mm-hmm. Yes,
Honestly,
action, action.
the reason why I never really like, because when I was growing up, I didn't like the thought of a therapist because I felt like they was paid to care, and that's why I wouldn't really like to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, technically, sure. However, most therapists are in this field because they went through something or someone close to them went through something and it sits with us. And we're just there's a book called The Wounded Healer, and that's what we are. We've been wounded, we've been hurt, and we want to help other people get better. So in theory, Darnell, yes, do we get paid to care? Sure. But there are some therapists who don't. There's some therapists who are so like emotionally removed, it's just a job for them. Not me, but I'm just saying people out there, things like that. Anyway, um, so if we as generations before you can get better with action, how are you gonna help the younger ones? Like, your baby brother, he's a Gen Alpha, technically. So how do you and these Gen Zs, how do you plan on helping these alphas and stuff?
I don't know. I feel like I'm a bad role model. I just be holding things in. Really, I feel like, so if it comes to like life, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, like in work ethic, I'm not a lazy person. And like I know a few things about life even though I'm only 21. But if it comes to like being vocal and communicative and like expressing yourself, don't look at me because like I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I still don't do it. Genuinely, I really don't because it's like I don't know. Over 21 years, like well, I'm not gonna say 21 years, but let's just say like between like 14 and 21, doing things alone, you learn a lot when it comes down to yourself and being like emotionally in tune with yourself and understanding how you are as a person, how you feel, what your bad habits are, what your good habits are, and stuff like that. So that's another reason why I was like, why talk to somebody now? I already went through everything by myself and found out how to do it and how to go about it. So it's not, I'm not saying that I'm denying help and I never want a therapist, but for a while I was kind of just like, it's pointless because everybody that I'm younger than is always telling me, oh, you're so smart, you're so intelligent, you're so emotionally like connected with yourself. And it's just like, what am I supposed now I go to a therapist and they're like, oh yeah, you already dissected everything, so what do you need me for?
Because you haven't, Darnell,
Because haven't what?
fully dissected it all. Your
No.
intelligence is amazing and your self awareness is great, but you have literally reiterated time and time again throughout this conversation. I hold on to it and I don't release it. I don't release it. Well, I release it in my music, but then I don't release my music and I don't share. So it sounds like you're still holding your cards very close to your chest, nephew. And it's not just you. There's a lot of people that do that. A lot of, especially black men, hold things to them because who knows what it's like to be a black man other than another black man, which is why you can find mentors, you can find uh, therapists, you can find people who can help you out, man. But like you said, you literally just said, I've been doing this on my own so long, so why start now? Because you have.
No. I said, but at the end, I said I'm not against getting a therapist, but at like before, like the last 2 years, I was just like, what's the point if I've been doing it for so long? But like, I had to realize like at some point it's deeper than like what I can do for myself and what I know. But I don't know that's why I'm saying I don't really like therapists. That's why I was talking to you. But then you said like legally you couldn't do anything about it.
That doesn't mean I'm still not going to talk to my nephew, sir. I can't charge you for the services, but I surely can walk you through life until you find yourself your own therapist, whoever that
Okay, I
person
have a
may be.
question.
Uh-huh.
As my aunt, would you have
Uh-huh.
the ability to separate me from your nephew and your client?
You're a very smart cookie. Probably not, but the advice wouldn't change nonetheless. Like I would learn how not to give advice as auntie. I would feel auntie most of the conversation, but at the end of the day, information is information. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
would give you the right information, but listening to you, Darnell, like I would listen to you all day if you needed me to, just because you are my nephew. You're
Yeah, I
my brother's
understand that.
namesake. You are the oldest of the five. So
Yeah. But like that
anyway.
another reason why I kind of probably I mean, not even kind of probably. Like genuinely the reason that I mainly didn't speak to you was because like I don't know, it's weird. Like I knew like if I talked to you, obviously you'd probably have a solution for something. But at the same time, it was always like at the end of the day, this is my aunt. So what I tell her is like going to be in the back of her head. So like that's another thing where it's like, yeah, you're a therapist, but like to be able to separate because like your client could say something to you and like you might go home and not think about it until like they bring it back up. But for
Mhm.
me, I'm your nephew, so you'd be sitting there, you'd be thinking about it, you'd probably want to call and get in touch with me more to make sure like I'm not going crazy or nothing. But at the same, that's why I didn't really speak about anything, because it's like now I didn't want it to make it feel like I wasn't good or like you had to check up on me.
Let me tell you about your auntie. Okay. Um, I'm gonna check them on you regardless. Because
Yeah,
again, you are the oldest of my brothers, 5, and I'm gonna check on all 5 of y'all whether you like it or not. Now, knowing after that conversation we had 2 years ago in your grandmother's living room, well, I was in the kitchen, you were in the living room. Um, I'm always going to worry. However, the beauty of being Auntie May May is that I can pass this on to the Lord and be like, Lord, I can only do so much as his aunt. I can only do so much as human. Lord, I'm gonna need you to step in and help him because I can't go everywhere you go. And yeah, but nephew, if you needed me, I'm gonna show up regardless. Whether you want me to show up as auntie, whether you want me to show up as a therapeutic professional, whatever, what I am first is your aunt.
yeah,
Therapist second, right? And I do know how to wear both hats depending on the situation. But I will say thank you for sharing on this pod episode that, because I think you said a lot of things that a lot of people may struggle with. Trusting people, holding on to stuff, knowing when to let go, knowing who to release stuff to. Like you said a lot of great things in this episode. So, as I do at the end of every podcast episode, for those of you who didn't see the beginning, he asked me like, "What's a neurospicy black sheep?" And I told him neurodivergent people who think differently, who do life differently, whether because of a diagnosis or not. But if you were to share any type of advice for anyone who can be similarly in your shoes, whether they were a foster kid or someone who lost a parent and doesn't know how to function after that, because unfortunately you lost both parents. Well, Sheehan is still here, but both parents, same day, just different years. What would your advice be, nephew?
this is the most hypocritical thing I've ever said in my life, but genuinely, you can't hold it in and not talk to nobody. And I know it sounds crazy because I was just saying like, yo, I don't talk to nobody, but like I'm telling you, for peace and sanity, you want to speak to somebody. It was for me, it became more than I just don't talk to people. It became like genuinely a bad habit that I would do on accident. And like the more you get used to not talking to somebody, it just becomes a part of like your personality traits, and you do not want that to happen. You'll ruin friendships, relationships, a lot of things over just not being able to communicate and not being able to talk. So I know, like I said, I don't really talk to nobody, but from somebody who has experienced it for like this amount of years of not talking to people and not like expressing myself, I promise you it's not what you want to do.
Darnell, I am a very proud auntie. I am a very proud human right now. You are amazing and you have shared a lot of great gems. Y'all, if you are in the comment section, give my nephew some hearts, give my nephew some claps. Y'all share this with people. You hear me? Because this is not the last time you're going to see Darnell. I'm not saying he's going to be back on the pod, but like my mom said, once he learns how to release this thing, he is going to learn, he's going to take off because my nephew is very talented. Janaya said she loves us, and she said, let those tears come. Because let me tell you, I'm not going to put Janaya's business out there, but let me tell you, y'all, the Harrison 5, all of y'all do it. All of y'all carry things that you shouldn't be carrying. And y'all keep it close to your chest. And listen, y'all, I'm going to beg you and Naya, look at your auntie. Know that I am here regardless. Okay. Know that there is people that are around you that want to see you guys succeed. And pride, put it away. Fear, put it away. Because like you said, Mr. Sir, this ain't what you want. For your peace and your
Really
sanity,
not.
do it better. So can I ask you something, nephew?
Yeah.
And you're going to say it in front of the whole World Wide Web or whoever's watching this. So, they're going to hold you accountable. Does this mean from this point on, you're going to at least make an attempt to be more open?
Because if you said from this point on, am I going to? And I said, yeah, I'd be lying. But okay, right? I'll say it like this. I can't promise that I'm going to be open and communicative, but I could promise that I'll try. I feel like that's better than nothing.
Hey, listen, beggars can't be choosers. You know what I'm saying? We take what we can get, and we appreciate you for that. So, nephew, again, thank you for being so brave, and sharing your story. This is not easy, and I appreciate you for doing so. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. I'm a proud auntie. Like, I really am, nephew. Like, you did amazing. Next week, I said these announcements before, but I'm going to say them again. Next week, I have on a friend of a friend that became a friend. His name is Abdul. He's going to be on. We're going to be talking about something very similar to what me and Darnell just talked about, being a Black man in America, dealing with mental health, but not knowing how to get through it. So join us next week, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where me and Abdul will be here. Permission to Soar mentoring program. We are going to be taking off in the middle of February. So if you have any young people, ages 13, and then young adults, 18 to 26, that might need a mentor, you guys hit me up. You can either email me, you can go to my website, do an inquiry form, or you can message me here or on my business page, whatever. But nonetheless, again, nephew, I appreciate you. And if you want to be a part of that mentoring, let me know, because it's not therapy, it's mentoring. So there's that. Anyway,
All right, I'll think about it.
You should. I love you, nephew. Love you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Again, don't click off because there's an outro video giving you all the information about what's coming up. Well, not what's coming up. Just go on YouTube, subscribe, and share these videos. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out, y'all. Hey guys, Jermaine here. Thank you for watching this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Listen, I am looking to transition everything to my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/@AFCCS77. Go there, go subscribe, and let your people know, because a lot of my content is already on there. I have a series called Black Man Heal series. That was great. I Am series is on there. Join the Fight series is on there. And now this Inimitable podcast is on there. So all of the content that I've been putting together for the past, year and a half, it's all on there. So please go check it out. Also, after this, there's going to be a flyer that's talking about Jermaine's ready to go to work. Okay. Mentoring young people and young adults between the ages of 14 and 26. I'm really trying to do that more. So if you know any programs and churches that have some young people that need mentorship and need group counseling, let me know. We can talk, we can contract, we can partner, and maybe doing more podcast episodes. I'm just ready to get in there. So again, go to YouTube. I will see you later. Check out this flyer. All right, bye.